They wish they could support us so bad. They wish that we were available for deportation so bad. Honey, they devastated. They devastated. We ain't on the list. Freaking devastated. They just can't believe it.
Problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe. But I understand. Can you imagine the shape you have to be in to deport black people?
Did you get picked? Like, I know some of the people in the crowd were laughing with you, but the shit wasn't funny. And knowing how uneducated people are in America, especially about black Americans, you can't convince me that some of the people that were voting against their best interests were doing that so that black Americans could potentially be terrorized by ICE. Like, I remember the rhetoric in February and January of last year. Then they were like, oh, ICE isn't going to come after us. We're citizens, and we're naturalized citizens. They made an amendment to make sure that we have our rights. And that's when some of these people were like, wait, black Americans actually have rights? They treat them like shit, but they got rights? They got more rights than us. This is making me angry. And it's just like, it's crazy how much these people hate us and how much they're willing to bend the white supremacy to get a little laugh off the backs of black people. And it's just like, shit wasn't even funny to begin with. And it's just, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, why is everybody so concerned about black Americans all the time? I really don't get it.
Bad kind that enters your home without a warrant. My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe. But I understand. Can you imagine the shape you have to be in to deport black people? Yeah, I'm actually training for the 3-gun competition right now.
Hello, my wonderful people. How are you? I trust you're okay. You're welcome back to the channel. My name is Jane. I saw a clip online of an Asian comedian making what he called a joke, and I'm going to be very direct about this. There was no joke in that comedy. He said that his only problem with ICE is that they don't deport black Americans. He suggested that black Americans commit crimes. The solution would be to deport them. That wasn't satire. That was not clever in the least. That was not layered humor. That was plain racism, clear as day. Where exactly is the punchline in advocating the deportation of an entire racial group? What's funny about that? Deportation is a real trauma for real families. It destroys lives. And this man stood on stage acting like it's a cute little policy trick. Let's be clear about something, guys. Black Americans are not immigrants and they cannot be deported. Many of their ancestors were forcibly brought to this country. They built it. They fought in its wars. They bled for its democracy. And this guy, this Asian guy, thinks that the solution to so called crime is to deport black Americans. That is not comedy at all. That is historical ignorance wrapped in arrogance. I'm not a black American, but I am black, and I was truly offended beyond words. Because when you hear rhetoric like that, you know it is not random. It comes from somewhere. It comes from the same old racist myth that blackness equals criminality. That lie has been used for centuries to justify mass incarceration, over policing, discrimination, and violence against black people. And now we are supposed to laugh at this? No. And here's the part that even make it more disturbing. Every minority group in America today enjoys civil rights protections because of the struggle led by black Americans. The civil rights movement didn't just benefit black Americans, it expanded rights across the board. Desegregation, voting protections, anti discrimination law, equal access protections. Those gains helped immigrants, They helped Asian Americans too. They helped Latinos. They helped Somalis. They helped religious minorities. History is very clear about that. So to see somebody from another minority group stand on stage and casually suggest deporting black Americans is not just offensive, it is deeply ironic. You don't get to benefit from the legal and social groundwork laid by black struggle and then turn around and recycle anti black stereotypes for laughs. And let's talk about this crime narrative for a second. Crime is not genetic, crime is not racial. Crime correlates with poverty, inequality, lack of investment, and systemic neglect. Things that black communities have disproportionately faced because of historic and ongoing discrimination. If someone truly wanted to address crime, they would talk about economic opportunity, education, healthcare, and reform. But instead, we get deportation jokes. Why? Because it is easier to scapegoat than to analyze. It is easier to punch down than to challenge systems of power. And this idea that it is just comedy is getting old. Comedy has always pushed boundaries, yes, but real comedy challenges the powerful. It doesn't recycle stereotypes about oppressed groups. When you stand on stage and suggest deporting black Americans, you are not being edgy, you are being reckless. And I want to say something else. We talk a lot about solidarity between marginalized communities. We saw massive mobilization during the Stop Asian Hate movement, and that was important. Racism against Asian communities is real and unacceptable, but solidarity cannot be selective. You cannot demand empathy when you are targeted and then laugh when someone else is dehumanized. And no, I am not saying every member of any group feels this way. I am speaking about the pattern of anti black rhetoric that sometimes surfaces from unexpected places. It needs to be called out every time. Because if we normalize so called jokes about deporting black Americans, what is going to be next? When dehumanization becomes humor, it stops feeling outrageous. And that is how dangerous ideas creep into mainstream discourse. So, no, I didn't find it funny. I found it revealing. Revealing of how comfortable some people are repeating anti black tropes. Revealing of how quickly racism can be disguised as satire. And revealing of how necessary it is to still defend the dignity of black Americans even in spaces where you wouldn't expect to have to. Black Americans are not a punchline. They are not disposable, and deportation is not comedy. If somebody wants to be a comedian, then go ahead, but be funny. But please, do not confuse cruelty with courage, because there is nothing brave about recycling hate, especially for Black Americans.
Being black in America is funny to everybody except us because we actually have to live through all the BS. We've had to live through it and we continue to live through it. And now we have comedians who are finding humor in their racist jokes against us.
My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe. But I understand. Can you imagine the shape you have? My only problem with ICE is that they're going after every minority group except black people. I mean, you're trying to reduce crime. You're just giving them more room to breathe.
If you're Asian American, the only valid reaction you should have to that video is disgust and, frankly, embarrassment. And now, when Asian communities are under attack, the fact that we're still throwing the black community under the bus shows how desperate some of us are to cling to this proximity to whiteness as our saving grace, as if that is going to keep us safe and protect our families when it never has before. A lot of us talk about how Asian discrimination and racism is downplayed, but it shouldn't come as a surprise when so many of us are so quick to disavow any solidarity with other communities of color. If you are part of an immigrant family, I know you know how rampant anti-blackness is in our world, and to see it perpetuated in the name of humor and an unfunny joke is embarrassing.
So many people asking Asian creators to speak up about the whole riots in LA and all these deportation things. What is there to say? We support the deportations of illegals.
Sir, you look like the immigration issue you're ranting about. So the projection is wild because you look very illegal.
Asian people aren't really dependent on, migrant labor.
The loss of immigrants has the potential for a full economic collapse because of significant GDP reduction, labor shortages, increased prices, reduced consumer spending and demand, and billions lost in tax revenue. An economic collapse affects everyone. Immigrants make this country thrive.
This presidency promised that they would deport illegal immigrants. They're doing that. Why are you crying? You see it like these immigrants are waving the flags of other countries, burning down the flag of the U.S., and then you think Asian people want to support that? No, they want to stay away from that. They don't want to be grouped in with these people. Asian people don't want to focus on the negativity and say what they're really thinking. Deport, right? Deport illegal immigrants.
He is the embodiment of the model minority, which was created to pit Asians against other marginalized groups, rewarding obedience, silence, and hard work with crumbs of white approval. And he ate that up. Tap dancing for people who don't even want you here. No matter how hard you try to prove you hate yourself more than they ever could, and try so hard to distance yourself from the very people who fought for the rights that you now leech off of. You can grovel all you want for white validation, but you'll never earn validation from the same people who call you Kung Flu and China virus. Remember that? Kung Flu and China virus? You are not native. So how do you think it is that you were able to come to the United States? You think it was the whites who just kindly handed you an invite into our country out of the kindness of their heart? No, you got here because black and brown people far braver than you bled in the streets. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965 made it possible for you to live your American dream as the oppressor's lapdog. You're welcome. The people brave enough to fight out in the streets are the same people keeping you here. That fight going on right now is again a fight that you will benefit from just so that you can parade around like you earned those rights when you have never fought for anything in your weak little existence. Not your people, not your dignity, not even yourself. But be careful, because if they deport all of the people who fight for our rights, you might find yourself in an internment camp, because who's going to fight for you? You don't even fight for yourself.
My wonderful people, this video is not about attacking a community. It is not about attacking even the Asian community. Rather, it is about calling out rhetoric that dehumanizes Black Americans and disguises it as comedy. Suggesting deportation as a punchline is not edgy or bold. It is reckless and rooted in harmful stereotypes that have caused real damage for generations. Comedy can challenge power. It shouldn't normalize prejudice. Solidarity between communities only works when it is mutual. If we expect empathy when we are targeted, we have to extend it when others are dehumanized, okay? Dehumanization is not funny and it shouldn't be normalized. Black Americans are not a punchline, and dignity should never depend on who is holding the microphone. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching the video. If you learned anything or if you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like and share this video to get to more people, and I'll see you in my next upload. Bye bye.